Hey, what's up guys? Shinobi here, and today I'm going to be sharing with you some of the add-ons of my custom UI that I put together because I've been requested for this quite a lot over the past couple months of playing WoW Classic. I have been doing a lot of the honor farming, and I got to get back to that. You know, we got BGs coming out next week, a lot of stuff going on, so I'm going to try to make this video quick and concise for you because I know a lot of people, number one thing people say about my channels is, hey guy, you know, make the video much shorter. So I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to make this video as short as possible as I can, just go through and briefly talk about each add-on I have and why I use it. And if you want more information on how to set these up and more information about details about the stuff, then come over to my live stream channel, twitch.tv/Shinobi Live, and ask me over there, and I'll be more than well, you know, to sit down and go through a few of the add-ons with you. But for the purpose of the video not being super duper long, we're just going to do that. And also, one last disclaimer before we get into it is that UIs most likely in most situations are going to be very subjective. You might like this, you might not like that. You might like this, you might not like that. It's just the way of the road. It's just the way that it goes. So I like it the way that it is for me, but I'm always making changes and I'm always moving things around to get them to where I like them to be, and things that are useful for me in particular, you know, the functionality that I want out of a UI. So if there's a few add-ons in here that are useful for you that you want to use that you didn't know about before, that's the purpose of this video. I'm not telling you I'm doing this correctly, so copy my exact UI. That's not what I'm saying at all. Anyways, let's go ahead and talk about all the add-ons here. First, I do need to talk about that I use the Twitch app. This was the Curse app before. It gets most of these add-ons come straight from like the Curse website, whatever. So use this if you, it makes it easy. Just make sure you're selecting the correct file for it to go into, the classic file, and you just search whichever ones you want in here. And like if you do like auction, you can see there's auctioneer. I don't use auctioneer, but you could like install that, put that right into it. You're good to go. I like using this for this. It's super awesome. Keeps it updated. There is a few add-ons in here that you can't get through the Twitch app that I've had to get in other places, and I'll try to remember which ones those are as we get into this to let you know. So first, starting off here, we have Better Font. Better Font is simply just to change the font over people's names. As you can see, it says Bloodguard here. It's a little different than the way you normally see it over the character names too. It looks a little bit different. The font looks a little different. So, and it also changes the damage font too. So the font that I'm using in particular, I can show you right here. So when I'm in my add-ons folder here and I take a look at Better Font, you see how it says prototype.ttf. You just pick whatever font you want and name it prototype.ttf, and that's what your font will be. So moving on to the next add-on here, and that is advanced interface options. Advanced interface options, pretty nice. What that does is it gives you a lot of more options to change, like turn titles off, turn guild names off, a lot of more functionality than you normally would have in your basic interface options. Also, it blocks LUA errors, which is nice because when you're updating add-ons, sometimes they don't sometimes the updates don't come out at a certain point, and you get a big the thing popping up in your face constantly. It just gets rid of that, and I don't want that. Plus, there's a command that I use for that, so just to make sure that I don't get these LUA errors. But yeah, moving on to next one here, we have Atlas Loot. Pretty basic. Everyone knows what Atlas Loot is. Just goes ahead and shows you like the different gear and stuff that you can get, and you can kind of look at by hitting the control button. You can see like what it looks like for different things, like, you know, the Bloodfang helm, the Nemesis helm and such. So yeah, that's what I use it for, and it shows you drop chances as well, which is pretty neat. So you can see over Storm Rage cover, it says Onyxia's layer. It tells you where it comes from. It tells you it's 15.73% drop chance. So if I put my mouse over my Giant Stalker's helmet, for instance, it says that it's Molten Core, 18% drop chance, right? You know, the Onyxia tooth is different because it comes from the head of Onyxia, you know, but you can kind of just see, you know, just kind of just brushing over some of my gear here, and you can see it shows you like more information that's pretty useful, and you can look at like the PvP gear and stuff. But you know, if you're rank 6 or above, you can just come onto the Hall of Legends yourself and just go ahead and you know, take a look at all the stuff you want. You know, oh, War Chief's Blessing's about to drop. Nah, it's okay, I don't care about that. That's DBM, by the way, that does that. Pops up the War Chief's Blessing. It kind of like times other people's information from other DBMs, and it knows when another one's going to drop. So it's pretty neat. It's really nice for getting your Nixia buff, your world buffs for the week that you need. But that's a little spoiler ahead of some of the add-ons that we're using later on. I use Auctionator. I suggest that everybody uses at least one auction type add-on, okay? Because there's the reason why. You can scan the auction house. You just want to scan the auction house. You can use Auctioneer, Auctionator, AUX, TSM, whatever you prefer, right? The functionality of it is your preference. However, for me, I don't like it to be like super crazy. I don't use the auction house to flip items. I make gold in other ways that I'll save for other videos. But if I put my mouse over this major healing potion, you can see it says auction 1 gold, 21 silver. This is important to have because when you're out in the world doing quests or doing whatever, you can see which items, oh, wow, this is worth that. Oh, this is worth that. And you know, oh, I'll send this to my bank alt so I can sell it because it's worth it to sell, such and so forth. So, yeah, so I used to use Auctionator because it gives me the functionality that I want to be able to split up stacks of stuff and put it on the auction house and buy things you know, quickly and more efficiently. Just for selling and buying more efficiently, essentially, is why I use Auctionator, and because it gives me this. Now, Auctionator itself, you have to get, there's not a classic version of it. This one I had to get from like wow-interface.com or something like that. They update it every so often. You just have to get it from there. That's where I got it from. So keep that in mind. Bag on right here. Bag on is the bag that I'm using right here. I changed, people have noticed that I changed my quiver before, so I go into the options here and I change the quiver color, which you can change down in color settings. You can change quiver color, you can change soul bag color. I just like to do the bluish green there because it kind of like stands out with the other ones. And you know, when I take this out, you can see that it's my quiver one, but you know, anyway. But I like Bagnon. It's just the regular Bagnon. I think there's just one version of it now or something, and it just works for everything. Then we also have details here. Details, my DPS meter I like to use. Some people like to use other DPS meters. I like to use details. With details, I use damage done, right? But then I turn off a few things here. So if I go into my options here, I turn off, under bar text, I turn off the total damage because the bar itself is the total. So you can see that you're doing more damage than other people just based off the bar itself. But then there's also DPS too. So I show the per second, but I take the percentages off. I take the brackets off. I don't like having those. I just like having, I don't want to have multiple numbers beside each other. I just want to have the DPS. You know, if you're doing more DPS than everybody else, you're doing more damage than everyone else. That's how it works. So, and I changed like the shadows to make it a little nicer, blah, blah, a little outline. One thing I will suggest if you're using details is to go into bars advanced here and do fast updates. Turn this on because it updates the numbers instantaneously instead of like update. It's more like update, up. Like you can see the number crawling up quickly. It's better. Trust me. So that's that. And then also when I'm doing a Nixia, I will turn on my tiny threat as it's right here, and I can see the threat. You don't need tiny threat for like pretty much anything besides a Nixia. If you know how to play the game, you don't need it. But for a Nixia, even your auto attacks could pull aggro on her. So, and that's really bad for that fight. So I'll have tiny threat on so I know when to feign death, when to feint, and stuff like that to keep my threat lower. And so if I do like a big aim shot crit, I'm just like, oh crap, like I'm about to pull threat, you know, so I kind of know. So what you do here is when you're setting that up here, if it's it's a plugin that's built into details called Tiny Threat. So that's how you do it. You just go plugin, details, you set up another window, and then you grab it there so you have the Tiny Threat. Dominoes, these are my bars here. You can just set them up any way that you want, but you know, as you do /dominoes, and you can configure them any way you want. You can move stuff around anywhere, and it's up to you how you want to do that. It's all preference. I'm still making changes and tweaks to it myself. And then Gather Mate is really awesome if you're a miner or an herber and you farm herbs out there. Because if you take a look at my map, you can see in Winterspring how I have like the rich thorium veins here. You can see where they are, and you know where to look for them out in the world. Now, I will suggest that if you get GatherMate 2, you also get GatherMate 2 data. This will give you all the data you need to find the things that you need to find. Use Honor Spy here. Honor Spy is nice because it'll help you predict kind of what rank you're going to get to. I should be farming honor right now. I'm falling behind. I'm a top 134 on the server right now. I need to I didn't really have time yesterday to do it because I was raiding. But it will kind of like help you know which bracket you're in and how you're kind of comparing to other people. And that's kind of the whole purpose of it. Plus, also when you kill somebody, it tells you how much honor you get. It'll tell you when you kill them a second time how much your honor will be because you killed them a second time. Just gives you a little bit more precise information to kind of know what to expect when it comes to your honor gains, essentially. And then back into add-ons here. Item Rack as well. Item Rack is really useful for this right here. You can set up all kinds of different gear sets and stuff that you want. You can set them to keybinds if you want. Also, it just gives you the functionality to just move your mouse and just pick other things like, oh, I want to switch to that. Oh, I want to switch to that. Oh, I want to switch to that, right? So it gives you the ability to do that. When I was in the CDL Classic Dueler League tournament, you know, it was a lot of people in that would have different gear sets or different classes they went up against, and you could literally just hit a hotkey to do that. So, yeah. Then more add-ons here. We have Leatrix maps. That's what you saw a second ago here. This is what it changes the map to be smaller. It shows a cursor on the map, so it tells you like, you know, what the coordinates are, and it just makes it a little nicer looking. Then Leatrix Plus, which is /LTP, comes in here and gives you a little bit more little more stuff you can do. Like for instance, with Manage Tooltip, this is something that's always a big eyesore for me. So for Manage Tooltip, it's this thing right here. Like normally this is down here, but I move it up here because it blocks my DPS meter, and I don't want to block my DPS meter like if I have my mouse over something. So I keep it up here so it's out of the way. So I use it mainly for that, but there's a lot of really cool things you can do with /LTP. Just go through and look, and there's a lot of different things you can change, like the death glow. You can change errors and stuff like that, taking errors off. There's a whole bunch of things you can do with it. I definitely recommend it. And then moving on down to Neat Plates. Neat Plates, if you know in retail, tidy plates, it's pretty much the same thing. It puts a bar over top of people's heads so you know the debuffs that you put on them, the dots that are on them and such. And it will tell you if you have threat on the mob, if you don't have threat on the mob, by changing the color of it. And it'll show you if they're casting something. It's just, you know, it's just an enemy player plate. And it's really, really good for PvE as well. So I highly recommend that. Then we have here OmniBar and OmniCC. So you need to get OmniCC and OmniCC config, and then I really recommend you get OmniBar. So you have the OmniCC, which tells you the cooldowns on your skills and such like that, right? This is something not everybody knows, but OmniBar is something that a lot of PvPers, well, a lot of serious PvPers have been using and a lot of people didn't know about. So let me show you what this looks like. So if you go to OmniBar, and you go into spells, you can show whatever spells you want that your opponents are using against you. So for instance, if I hit test right now, it'll show a bunch of different spells. This is just a test of every single one that I have on there. But you can see that I can see from the Blessing of Freedom right here, you see this Blessing of Freedom, 18 seconds, 17 seconds, 16 seconds. I can tell when his Blessing of Freedom is going to be back up. So if I use it to slow a paladin, I'm like, oh, his Blessing of Freedom is about to be back up. Or Psychic Scream, for instance. You know, like, oh, I don't want to be standing close to the priest because the Psychic Scream is going to be back up in a second, right? So it can kind of help you play against opposing people. You have to go through and just set up which one you want to have on there, but yeah. Anyways, getting into next one here, and that is Scrap. Really nice for when you go to a vendor and you just right-click on the vendor. You can sell some of the junk that you've gotten that you don't want to have clutting up your bags. Just makes it easy so you don't have to like individually click every single thing. Then we also have Sexy Map. Sexy Map is the mini map up here. I like to use, for my Sexy Map, I like to use Simple Square. But you can use whatever one you you like. This one's like broken or whatever. But yeah, I like to use Simple Square. But there's a lot of other ones that are kind of cool. There's actually one that's like a Diablo kind of look to it. Can't remember. Was that the one right there? That might be the one, the rustic one. But yeah, Anyway, and then moving on to Spy. Spy, really great add-on for world PvP stuff. Helps you know when people are around you, how many people there are. It lets you know if there's a rogue around you. But they did recently nerf the range on it. But if you're a hunter, you don't really care because you have, track humanoids. So that's really great, right? but yeah, Spy is really useful, and a lot of people have been using it for world PvP. Then we have Titan Panel. Titan Panel, really useful as well because it gives you a lot of different functionalities here. So you can see that on the up here, when I right click up here, this takes me to my Titan Panel. So if I take a look at transparency here, if I turn this on, this is the bar. I don't like that bar, so I turn the top bar off. But you can go into plugins, you can change other things. Like, do I want to show how many things are in my bag? Nah, I don't want to care about that. Do I want to show my XP per hour? I don't care about that because I'm already level 60, right? So you can go through and turn on whatever plugins you want to show you little information you want at the top, like coordinates, like, if you need to repair, stuff like that. But I just like to have, not like I was, oh my god, Rallying Cry of the Dragon Slayer. I'm not, by the time I get to the loading thing, damn it. Whatever. I'm not raiding till next week anyway. Then we have trinket menu here. Trinket menu, really awesome. It's this thing over here. So you can switch to your trinkets on the fly as you need be. I have a lot more trinkets in my bank right now. My bags get pretty freaking cluttered because quivers and such. But yeah, so just really good, change it on the fly. And then I would suggest, this is something I didn't know right off the bat. I had to figure it out myself, so maybe this helps you. When you're setting up your trinket menu to pick other trinkets, you won't come with a hotkey set up already, so you have to go into add-ons, then go down trinket menu, and you can set up the hotkey right there so you don't have to click it. You can just pick a hotkey. So if I do, for instance, I'm in town right now, if I do my shift Q, it's going to trinket me out of a stun, slow, or snare. And that's what that is. And then I'm like, okay, that's on cooldown now, so I'm going to switch to my my cloaking device so I can go invisible. Right, that's the purpose of it. Then we have weak auras. One weak aura in particular that I need to mention is this one right up here. It's the honor per session, per hour, yada yada, whatever. This is a string. You go to like Wagyu or whatever it's called, Wagyu, and you type in honor per hour, and it will show you this string. You copy paste it into your weak auras, and boom, you're ready to go. You can go into your weak aura and you can change. If you use /WA like I did right there, you can change the font, you can change the size, you can change the positioning, and yeah, I like having it. It's a really good tool for keeping track of the honor that I farmed throughout the day. Super useful. Then finally, coming up to WoW unit frames. It looks just like the regular unit frame pretty much, but has a little bit more functionality to it. It shows a color to it as well. And you can choose like a class color thing. You can change that if you want. And it shows just, a little bit more information than you normally would see. And I like the look of it, and yeah. But, do whatever you want for that. But it kind of looks like the old school WoW Classic one, but with a little bit of a change to it. Then also, what else do we have here? We have Character Stats Classic. I like this one as well. That's this right here that shows my defense, and it shows my range. So I can see that I'm hit capped right now, 7%. If I were to put on, for PvP, if I were to put on this, and I would have put on this, and then I'd put on my cloak. Oh, okay, I'm ready for my PvE. Oh, I can put on my DPS trinket too. All right, so I'm ready for my PvE now. I'm ready to go raid or whatever. And I can see that I have 9% hit cap, so I'm good to go in that area, and I'm not going to miss anything. Then moving on to last thing, DBM, we already talked about. It's just deadly boss mods. It shows you, when bosses are using certain abilities or whatever. Anyway, that's it, guys. Thought I'd just throw that in there at the end because I'm sure people are going to ask about that. If you have any more questions or comments or anything like that, head over to my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Shinobi Live. Drop a follow and leave a comment, and we can chat about some add-ons and all kinds of good stuff. But that's it for today, guys, and hopefully you enjoyed this video and you found you know, information out of it. Until next time, my name is Shinobi, and thanks for watching.